Okay, here we are, Toby and Bert, about to discuss UFC 261, Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Weili. Now, since we're basically talking about China, Bert, can you give us a bit of your Chinese straight up? Let's go. I heard you're a bit of a Chinese expert. Go.
我的名字是 Brent.
Wow, that's amazing. All the way, Toby. Okay, let's go. Let's have a little talk about this. So what are your feelings initially on this fight? It looks pretty obvious. You've got Rose Namajunas decapitated in the background picture that you've made. Tell us about that, Bert.
Okay, well, the summation of it is, I just think that Zhang Weili just has too much power. She also has speed. She's got power. She's got aggression, and I'm a little bit unsure where Rose's mental space is. So I just feel like all the things that matter the most in this fight are on Weiling's side.
All right, cool. Let's have a little look at the tail of the tape. I've been having a look at a little bit of their background. So Rose Namajunas, her middle name is Gertrude. This has got to be a negative factor in a fight being called Gertrude.
Wait. Is that real?
Yes, Rose Gertrude Namajunas. Anyway, one of the things that's good about her is she's been training with Pat Barry, obviously her partner, for a long time, and he's a gun. Trevor Whitman also helps in her training camps. He's a great coach and a great game player as well. So he knows. He'll be looking at the fight and thinking the best ways to win, trying to come up with a formula how to defeat Zhang Weili. Now, her record of MMA is 13-9. So, I mean, it's an up and down record. She's only had like a maximum winning streak of one fight in UFC so far. So she is a bit up and down, like you say. Is it her mentality? I'm not really sure, but she's not one that's come out and been really consistently winning. The last time she fought was against Jessica Andrade. Before that, she lost to her when she got dumped on her head. But she came out and beat her pretty well. She showed a lot of skills to beat her in the last fight. And before that, obviously, she beat Joanna as well. She's 28 years old. They're both around the same weight, 52 kilo, 115 pounds. Rose is a tiny bit taller, and she has a couple of inches more reach. And she's been fighting in the UFC quite a bit longer than Zhang Weili. If you look at the stats on the UFC site, she has 41% accuracy with her striking. I don't know how they work out ground accuracy, but it's 53% on that. She averages around 2 takedowns. The interesting thing looking at her background is she's got a lot of skills in different stand-up arts before she's done anything. So she started as a youngster in Taekwondo. She's done karate, obviously means doing stand-up for a long time. I believe she trained with Duke Rufus at one point. It obviously is a very well-known, good striking coach. So she's got very good skills. When you watch her, she's not your normal striker in the UFC. She's got a higher level of skill in striking than most players in UFC. She also obviously has been training BJJ for some time. She's apparently a brown belt in BJJ. So not a bad all-round sort of fighter. Now, if we go over to Zhang Weili, she comes from the Black Tiger Fight Club. Sounds like something out of a kung fu movie. I don't know, maybe equivalent of a Cobra Kai or something.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking Cobra Kai.
Exactly, sweep the leg. And her record is 21-1, so pretty great record, 21-1 in MMA. She also fought a bit of kickboxing, or it's probably like Sanda-based kickboxing because it was in China. Her last fight, she won on a split decision against Joanna, which was debatable, but it was still a good fight, where she turned Joanna into basically an alien, as you see in Bert's picture in the background.
Debatable.
I'm pretty impressed that she beat Andrade with a TKO in the first round. She's a very strong fighter, so that was a great one. Also, she beat is it Tisha Torres in a decision, I believe.
Yeah.
And she's 31 years old, so 3 years older than Rose. Similar, tiny bit shorter again, reach a tiny bit shorter. She's only been in UFC since 2018, so she's lacking a little bit of time in the UFC. Her accuracy is 45%, which is 4% higher, according to the stats on UFC. Her ground is 24% accuracy, so it's a lot less than what you see for Rose. 1.26 takedown average, a little bit less, but her takedown defense is 100%. That's a pretty good thing. Good thing going into a fight with someone if someone's a higher caliber of BJJ player, they might think about taking her down. She's 100% takedown defense so far. And her history is started in Shaolin Kung Fu. So she's basically a ninja. She did Sander as well. So you see in her fights, I don't know if everyone knows about Sander, but they do a lot of like a weird side kick to keep distance. And I've seen her throw that a lot in MMA. So this is something that's kind of interesting. She's got those Sander moves. She also did some sort of Chinese wrestling that I haven't heard of before. And she's a purple belt in BJJ.
Is Sanda, because I've never heard of that before, but I was reading about her a little bit, and it talked about training in the Sanda and Chinese wrestling. Do you know what the significant difference between that and like the collegiate wrestling that I'm used to is?
I have no idea about Chinese wrestling, but
well, you've been in China for a while, so I thought you'd be the man.
Some of you, but yeah, not in this area. I never heard of it before, but yeah. Anyway, okay. Let's jump over and have a look like at the individuals and their skills and whatnot. What do you think about Rose? Any ideas about her skills?
I think that Rose is going to have the technical game on her side. I think she's going to have that advantage, but I think she's going to have to really stick and move in and out quickly. And I'm not sure that she has the speed to overcome Weili's, the way that she aggressively comes in and throws her counters. I'm not sure if it's enough, but really this is kind of the problem that I see for Rose is really the only advantage that I see, that she does have the more technical striking, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's her strength. The strength when you put them against each other is she's a very technical striker. Another thing that in some of the early fights, she can also throw some unorthodox or a variety of kicks. So that's something that she could potentially use, because Zhang Weili likes to fight at a reasonably close range, I feel. And I think Rose, on the other hand, likes to fight, or she's better at that distance. So a long jab, a long hook across. And if she can utilize her kicking game a little bit more as well, she might be able to negate a little bit of power. Now, Rose's movement as well is great. You watch her; she moves laterally really well. She moves in and out of the target really well. She's not trying to engage toe to toe, although if it comes, she'll take it as well. With Andrade, she was like chasing her down. She seemed to do really well with an aggressive opponent moving towards her. So, and she does damage. You look at their faces; she does some damage, and she has the potential to hurt people. You look at when she knocked down Joanna before. She does have power enough to hurt people.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that you mentioned with kicks. I think for Rose to get an advantage in the later rounds, I think doing this, one of the things that Joanna did well a few different times throughout the fight was throwing that front kick into the body, and she landed in the face a little bit as well. If she can land that front kick to the body and work the body in any way that she can early on in the fight, I think that has the potential to take away some of Weili's power and give her more of an advantage in the later rounds, to where her technique can really take over more and not have to have as much of a risk of getting hit by those power shots.
Yeah, true. Hey, what about the wrestling? You got any ideas on Rose on wrestling? I haven't really seen a lot of what she does.
I think she has she's so well-rounded. I think that she is good everywhere, but again, the problem is going to come to the power situation. I think Weili's going to have a lot more power, and every time they come into those exchanges, I think Weili's going to have the advantage. She also has a really very good background as well in grappling, so that on top of the power shots that she has, and she's got the ability to throw those power shots from close inside, and so I think they're in those grappling exchanges, she's also going to be landing much heavier shots than what Rose maybe is used to in those positions. And I think it's going to throw Rose off. So I don't think she's going to necessarily have an advantage in the grappling, even though maybe she does have a higher, her jiu-jitsu might be technically higher. I'm not really sure on that, but.
It's funny because I think it'll be like a similar thing to the striking. Like I think she's going to be technically better, but then how does that translate against someone that's more powerful? So I think her technical skills will be quite good, and she's not scared to go to a grapple when it gets to a closer situation. When there's a close distance, she does like to engage, and she does blast a double every now and again too. So to see how she goes. One thing about her too is I believe that her cardio is a little bit suspect. When I watch her, I want her to win, and because she seems like a good girl. I want to see her win, and quite often you see her do really well in the first round. They just slowly taper off as it goes on. So I think that
Rose?
Yeah, talking about Rose. She seems to taper off as the fights progress. So I think this would be, I think a little bit of a weakness, conditioning. Maybe it's only because it's such a high work rate at that weight and everything, but it still just seems like a slight weakness in comparison.
Do you recall her last fight with Jessica Andrade? Because I completely forgot about it and I don't remember it much. It was a split decision win, but in the first fight, she just seemed like she was picking her apart at the beginning until she got slammed. Do you recall?
I felt
Did
like
she
the same
fade
sort of
that
thing.
fight?
She was doing really well and picking her apart, but she was succumbing to some decent shots here and there as the fight progressed as well.
Mm.
So what do you think on the side of Rose? What would you say would be her keys to victory if she was going to win the fight?
I would say her head movement is good. I think it's better than Ioana's, the way that she moves in and out, and I think she has to get in and out very quickly with head movement. She can't come in on a straight line because Weili's just going to light her up with counters the way that she did to Ioana. I think if she can land some body shots from the outside with those front kicks, slow Weili down a little bit, that is her best chance of coming away with a decision victory. I don't think that she necessarily has the power to finish it, and I don't think she can finish it on the ground either.
Yeah, I was thinking a big part of it is Trevor Whitman being involved. If he is in fact involved in this fight, I haven't heard whether he is or isn't, but he may come up with a good game plan. But like you said, I think her potential to win would come through keeping a range, using her long range jab, using a long hook and a cross to just keep her just out of her comfortable zone. Zhang likes to be close, so keeping that range. Don't engage in the grapple. I think again she's probably going to be too strong, like you said, and have a think about the kicking range as well, because if she does have a variety of kicks that Zhang might not be used to. I think she might have a chance there, and if it does engage in the grapple, she might have the chance of flicking up some sort of submission, because I feel like Zhang is more of a wrestling based grappler, so I think that she may have some openings there as well. Yeah, so if we jump over to Zhang, any thoughts on her overall? Looking at her, analyzing her.
I think just using her style, what she does, and that's kind of the other thing. I think that Rose kind of has to play to what Zhang Weili does, and Weili can kind of do what she normally does to take advantage of the fight. So moving forward, aggression, power, the counters that she throws. Every time Rose moves in, that counter straight that she throws is violent. And I'm not necessarily sure if Rose can handle the same kind of. I'm sure she can handle the same stuff that Ioana was able to handle, but it just seems like I haven't seen Rose in the same type of wars necessarily that I've seen Ioana in, or maybe my memory is just fading. But her counters really fast.
Yeah, I think she's
moving forward.
When I look at her, I don't know if anyone else would think the same, but I feel like she's like a Peter Yan, she's just like a solid in every area. She's like kind of compact. She keeps everything tight, and everything is like really, really good technique, like good base technique for everything, good balance. She looks so comfortable in everything. The differences for her, she's got that little bit of a Sander background, which when you fight someone that's from the same style of gym, most people training Thai boxing and wrestling, BJJ. If you have that mix that comes in from Sander, it's slightly different foot movement, slightly different kicks that could throw someone off a little bit. Her power, like you said, her power is very good. She really likes throwing in close. So her best weapon is in close, throwing punches. Her chin looks good as well. She gets cracked and she keeps going. Any feelings on her grappling? You mentioned about her strength, but anything further?
I think that her transition to grappling is pretty good. I think that I don't see Rose getting any shots. Like maybe if they're up against the cage, when Weili was fighting Ioana, she did get pressed against the cage a little bit and she had some trouble getting off, but still she was able to turn it around, and then she landed some big elbows from the separation. And I'm not sure how Rose is going to go about taking her down, especially early in the fight. Maybe later on, if she can work the body and get her slowing down a little bit, then maybe use the cage and get a takedown and work from there. But I'm having trouble seeing any scenario where that's happening.
Yeah, I feel like she's very comfortable on the ground as well, and she's just very strong. if you watch her, she had a fight with a BJJ brown belt. I think her name was Aguilar. She had a top position, and she could do nothing. Aguilar could do nothing. Yeah, she was on top of her, pounding her, and then she got like a triangle position from the top, rolled it over, then transitioned to an armbar. It was like she's pretty skilled, but I think her strength was that top pressure. So if she can get in that top pressure position, like I said, that strong sort of wrestling feel about her and her strength will do her favors on working against Rose if she can get her in that position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really think if Rose gets underneath of her on the ground, it's I feel like it's a bad news for Rose. She does have good jiu-jitsu. She's good off her back, and so maybe I'm not giving her the credit she deserves. But Weili has just got so much power from every position that even if she's in her guard, I think she's landing heavy shots and screwing up what Rose is trying to do.
Yep. So what's her keys to victory? You pretty much kind of said it, but key victory for Zhang.
Weili, I mean, moving forward, aggression, those quick counters, straight right. That's about it. I think that she's going to be a dominant force. Her speed, her power, her aggression, I think it's going to be too much for Rose, and it's going to overcome it. And that, that's also, I don't know necessarily where Rose's head is at. She seems to go up and down and with her level of commitment. So,
yeah, I think, like you said, I think the pressure is the biggest one. I think Zhang can move forward, put pressure on. I think Rose is going to start out really good. That's the way she generally rolls. She comes out sniping and with jabs, etc. That's kind of what I expect. But I think the pressure and momentum of Zhang will slowly take over, and I expect by round 2, round 3, she's just taking over. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I agree.
So on the final call, we kind of just said it anyway. So who wins? Can Zhang turn Thug Rose into another alien, or can Thug conquer the beast from the east? What are your thoughts? What's your final call?
I think Weili takes it. I think she probably, I don't know. I don't know if she can finish it. But I think she definitely takes the fight.
Yeah, like I said, my prediction is in the start, Rose comes out looking good foot movement, sniping from the outside. But I think Zhang, she's just a beast in all areas. I think her constant pressure and punching power and chin are going to move her into a position she can slowly pressure. As Rose declines, she can keep going forward and moving up and getting more shots off. So I expect her to get a finish or points win as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. So both of us have got Zhang winning, either points or KO. Probably swerving more towards points than anything based on their history. But there you go. Anything else to say, young Bert? Anything to say in Chinese to finish?
再见.
再见. 再见, Bert. Okay. See you, bro.
See it.